Okay, so for this review, I am joined by my buddy Marcos. You want to give your thoughts on The Lighthouse?
First thing, like when I saw the runtime, I was surprised that it was going to be almost 2 hours long. I didn't see what they could do for 2 hours, and after seeing the movie, I realized that they really didn't have enough for 2 hours. They could have shaved off at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes off of this stuff. Eggers loved all his babies and decided not to kill any of them off. And I think that really affected the pacing and really any kind of build up to anything that he was hoping to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, I described it as watching somebody else's fever dream. You know, like, it was beautiful to look at. It was well acted. William Dafoe was clearly having a really good time chewing off the scenery.
Yes.
But none of it made any sense. It didn't lead anywhere. And ultimately, by the halfway point, I was checking my phone because I was starting to get bored.
I agree. Like, I think this was one of Dafoe's best performances, probably. The movie looked great. It didn't take long for you to realize that this movie's not gonna, like, it's just a collection of moments and weird sort of things between these two guys, weird things going on in the lighthouse. It wasn't going to transport you anywhere. And I mean, one thing I read about from the filmmaker, he chose the aspect ratio, like a 4:3 aspect ratio, to transport us back to another time, to back to when movies were made in that aspect ratio. I didn't feel that it really transported us back to that time.
Yeah, I would have never guessed that if you hadn't told me. My thought was that he was doing it to make the film feel more claustrophobic. The 4:3 ratio, most audience members are going to associate that with the 80s and 90s. He could have done the film in like 18 frames per second or done it as a silent film or something. I mean, because it wasn't shot in any way that felt archaic. It was the film style was very modern. There was lots of camera movement and special effects.
It felt like I was watching a modern movie.
While his performance is good, Robert Pattinson's character is a non-entity for the majority of the film, and he's really the main character.
Right.
There was no real reason to care about him or be invested in him.
Right.
Which made it very problematic because, like, all the weird shit that's happening to him, there's no real reason to care about any of it, which just makes it boring, honestly.
You know, and I can't help but compare it to other movies. So, like, while I was watching it, I was saying, okay, The Fog kept coming up for me, and Shining. And The Fog came up because I guess, you know, it takes place near the sea, and, you know, it's sort of a salty tale kind of a thing. But I mean, there, you know, Carpenter masterfully sets things up, you know, and that's what I thought was going on here. Like, okay, he's going for a slow burn sort of setup, and you know, where Carpenter really built up to that. This really, I mean, but it was also very clear that that's not what was going on.
Yeah,
he wasn't setting things up.
There was all this weird stuff, but there was no connective tissue between any of it.
You know, like, it just, none of it was effective in any way. If they were trying to get a rise out of me or trying to get me to react somehow emotionally.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that goes back to Patterson being a non-entity and having no investment in him.
But I mean, the movie looked great. I mean, it was pretty beautifully shot.
I mean, he likes his natural lighting, and it makes some very stark and pretty images. So, what would you rate this?
I'll give it 2.5 just for effort. It was beautiful. There were some beautiful imagery in there.
Yeah, the imagery wasn't enough for me, so I give it a 2.